We're up. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
welcome everyone to the Town of Manlius Planning Board, our meeting of July the 11th. The first thing I wanted to do is make an announcement that our most recent secretary for the planning board has passed away. She was the secretary for the planning board for 11 years and worked with the planning and development for over 14 years, Barbara Smith, and she has just passed away. So if we could have a moment of silence on her behalf. Thank you. Thank you on her behalf. We appreciate that. First item on the agenda is for approval of the minutes from our last meeting conducted on June the 27th. Are there any requests for modifications? And Richard?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from June 27th.
I'll second.
Motion made by Richard, second by Ann. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Minutes are approved as written. The first other item on our agenda is the application by the Fayetteville Veterinary Hospital. This is scheduled tonight for a public hearing relative to site plan. And this is for the hospital at the same address, tax map number 091-1-1.2. Madam Secretary, did we properly publish notification of the public hearing?
Yes.
Are there any requests for reading of the public
I make
hearing?
a motion to waive the reading of the public hearing. Without notice.
We beat you on that one, Richard.
That's okay.
Motion by Edward, second by Valerie. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. And then prior to hearing a motion to open, I'd like to go through seeker and get seeker resolved.
So we're going to address the part 2 questions. Will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulations?
No.
Will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of use of land?
No.
Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community?
No.
Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area?
No.
Will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway?
No.
Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities?
No.
Will the proposed action impact existing public or private water supplies or public or private wastewater treatment utilities?
No.
Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources?
No.
Will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources?
No.
Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems?
No.
Will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health?
No.
All of these proposed impacts have been answered to small or no impact, so a negative declaration can be entertained.
I would entertain a motion for a negative declaration. Valerie, and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Negative declaration for seeker. I would entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
I'll make a motion.
Judy, second by Ann. All in favor?
Aye.
We have now opened the public hearing. If anyone here is present who wants to speak regarding the veterinary hospital at 8122 East Genesee Street, Fayetteville, please step forward. online?
Nobody.
There being nobody online,
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
motion made by Ann, second by Richard, to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The public hearing is hereby closed. Candidly, this particular site plan, I think it's a good looking building. I think it's going to improve the looks of that community. I think everything about it is good. Comments from the board?
The planning plan is all deciduous. It's going to be any evergreens considered in the planting plan.
Have they been? They may, no, it's been a month since I looked at it. But we can consider everything. So, I know we have foundations, but we can look at where we think the evergreens will go. We have a nice view. It's a nice looking building. We spent a lot of money on the timber frame and the facade and the stone accents. And I think we really want to highlight those.
I was thinking of the parking lot.
Parking lot. We could put screening, some planting screening like low evergreens between the road. and Parking lot. Is that what you're thinking?
Some automobile light.
Yes, yeah, 2 to 3 feet high or so. And that'll be elevated up anyway.
I looked at the plans, I didn't see this, so I'll ask the question. There might be a footnote somewhere that I can see. Right now, the way the parking is, you've got multiple access points from Route 5.
Oh, yeah, we only have one access point now.
Yeah,
DOT is, we instead of having 125 foot one, we're probably now down to 24 foot.
So my question is, will there be curbing the rest of the way down the front of the building
Along the drive.
along the side?
No, it's, we're gonna reestablish the swale or the drainage ditch along the road.
Okay.
So there will be no way to access the site, except through the.
But there will be curbing around the entranceway.
There,
I didn't see a footnote, that's why I'm asking.
I don't think DOT asked us for curbing at the entrance, so we didn't include it.
Any curbing anywhere?
Oh, yeah, there's curbing all the way around the park. I think we do.
It looks like, if that's what I'm looking at, it looks like it stops before you get the radiuses in.
Yeah, we don't have curbing in the right of way, that's just before the right of way.
Well, if I'm looking at this, it ends before the right of way.
Yeah, right where the transition from
Right,
the
from
DOT
straight-
pavement to
yeah.
the parking pavement.
Okay, all right, that was my question.
But the whole parking lot is.
We kind of talked about this before. But that one parcel that's behind the property that is not
After
landlocked now, just remind me what, because I just don't want to like lose an opportunity to unlandlock that for future, if down the road, it's not the same people that own these properties.
Yeah, their access is to the east of our property, and we don't control that land. So that would have to be worked out. There may be an easement across that property now for them. So, but- Their driveway is right here, and our property is from here over.
Yeah, I was looking at the survey. Do you have the survey map? Where it kind of shows it a little bit better. Because the drive, yeah, how do we tell if there's an easement or anything? Because the driveway is completely on.
Well, we wouldn't know because it wouldn't be in the application because it's not the parcel being considered.
Yeah.
But I'm seeing wooden steps going across that parcel as well.
Mhm.
So obviously they've been transgressing back and forth on the adjoining property.
Yeah, all right, I guess. we can't
They
really
wouldn't be able to
do
sell
anything
that unless
about it.
there was something.
Yeah,
It's not connected to the.
so when they go, if they were to go to sell the
Sell it.
property, yeah, okay.
That's all.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
No, I agree with you, Joe. I think Chairman, I think that it's a vast improvement in that area. It's going to be very nice. Nice job.
It's absolutely.
Still,
That being the case, I would entertain a motion relative to site plan approval. Ann?
I'll make that motion.
Second. Motion made by Ann, second by Richard, for approval of the plan submitted.
Five, 2/22 and updated on 6/1/22. That's the right plan.
I don't know if those are the correct ones. I think we had a 628.
We got a 627,
627.
627, and 2020.
All the architectural and site.
Okay, so this would be in accordance with the plan submitted on 6/27/2022. Motion made and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
What was the- Can I ask you one last question? What was the change from the 6/1 plan to the 6/18?
But all the same dates and all the plans. And then
A sidewalk or something.
there wasn't anything significant. Same dates and it's a minor thing after that.
Did you add the back door? Yeah, did you add the back door?
Oh, we did change some doors, door locations. We eliminated the back door and put a new door.
So there's no,
Yeah.
there's no door in the back.
No door in the back.
Joe, you bet the.
Yep.
That's the one?
That should be yours right in front of you. Yep.
No, it's 6/1.
Yes, 627.
Borrow mine if you want, Rich.
Oh, this is the 6/27. Okay, I've seen it. Okay, that's what I was questioning you earlier on curving. I thought it was a big one.
So I want to thank you for your presentation and for an improvement to the community.
Great, thank you.
Thanks.
The next item on our agenda is an application by Shashank Mahat. This is an application to us for a recommendation to the town board relative to a zone change. They are looking to change a zoning of CA and RA to RM. The Seven Pines project, multiple addresses, 8104, 8108, 8112, 8116, Manlius Casanova Road. Is there anyone here to speak on behalf of the applicant? I had the feeling this would happen. Just from what I was hearing, that the applicant didn't really want to come in. However, when we look at these plans and we see what they're doing, this is a very prudent use of space. This multi-resident for business and residential. I like the look and I'm actually very pleased that they brought this in.
They're dorms, they're all dorms.
It has that appearance.
Yeah, they're from the military school.
Okay.
No, that's on the other.
That's on your side.
That's-
These are
This
these
is
are
outside.
these are dentist offices.
This-
Oh, yeah, yes, yeah.
Residential and one
Yeah, there's
third
already-
is commercial.
Yeah,
Do we
there's
know
no-
that?
commercial, this is-
Yeah.
Oh, they are, really?
I mean, the
Oh, I didn't
land.
think they were.
We're actually- Oh, they were-
That's why it was not identified.
Yeah.
Ed, you're not old.
I think this is exactly-
I do remember that, a little bit. As a kid.
These were dorms.
I'm surprised. they're on the
Okay.
side of the street from that.
But the use of commercial on the lower level and residential on the top, the way these look, the appearance of them that we've seen the photographs of.
I don't
My
know
only
if,
question,
well, I was going to say, I don't know if everyone has had the chance to look at the RM district.
well, that was my question.
Right,
Because it
so
is RM up through there.
There are a lot of restrictions on the RM,
a lot,
Yeah.
a lot. And
lot coverage.
The looks of the building too. you know,
there is a lot of, and it all has to come to the planning board.
Yeah.
The purpose of the district is to permit unobtrusive uses of a commercial non-retail nature and to preserve residential character. So it's unusual for an applicant to look kind of for a downgrade in their,
Yeah.
in their
That's what this is.
code section, in their district, but this is what is allowed then. Offices of religious and educational institutions, offices of physicians, surgeons, dentists, lawyers, architects, engineers, planners, real estate agents, public stenographers, mailing service without presses, telephone answering services. Funeral homes. Yeah. Funeral homes, daycare center, care home, teaching of music, dance, bed and breakfast accommodations, dressmaker, tailoring, decorator, photographer, art studio, apartments for residential use. So
This could have been RM right from the get-go years ago.
could have been, and,
A lot of it is RM up through there.
but it's supposed to come to the planning board and the, it is supposed to have the look of all structures effective date of this amendment and any major alterations of the exterior appearance of structures already in existence shall be subject to site plan review. And it shall be of a design and style that replicates a traditional single-family home in its exterior appearance and shall be compatible with the style and type of structures in the neighborhood. So this will be coming to this board again, if it's granted. And did you see an issue with any of the setbacks, by the way?
Normally, for something like this, we would have some type of code table
Mhm.
that says what they can do and what they can't do. We looked at other R properties. You know, if you think about it, it's always said parking is supposed to be in the rear.
Mhm.
The lot coverage has to be
5%.
yeah, right. There are a lot of things that I think the applicant should know
Before he,
before he moves forward with
right.
a zone change to RM and then finds out that it just can't be done.
How were you able to, with the dentist office that converted, get the parking in the front? How did you go about changing that?
Variance.
Yeah,
Variance?
there's variances.
So that's something that,
It is.
They got a variance on that.
yeah, I thought so.
That's a sore point with me.
Well, still trying to correct it. I wasn't sure. I mean, I'm thinking this is. the
I
city.
suggested that it be in the rear, and they said that it physically would not be appropriate, and that would not be possible. Anything's possible, give a second mind to it.
Yeah, just the, I don't know why the applicant. Because the recommendation is gonna be, I don't know if you want to temper that recommendation, that they would know and before, and be fully aware of what's supposed to happen in the RM.
I think the uses sound appropriate. What, getting to Doug's point, it'd be nice, Hanning did the survey, it'd be nice if he could give us something else. What is the lot coverage there? Because if it's 65%, I'm not sure I'd be in favor of
Mhm.
recommending a zone change. But if it's 37% or something, then
Right, there'd be a lot coming before the ZBA.
right.
Or you don't, we can say that we're not prepared to make a recommendation and want more information.
Yeah.
And it will wait. I mean, it's legislation, so that the town board is not obliged to act on it. Without,
Answer some of our questions.
or ever.
The big thing to me is lot coverage, really is. I mean, I think it looks residential because at one time it was. I think it's a good change. You're taking CA, more dense use, turning into RM, that's a good move. So my big issue is just simply the lot coverage, and if it complies.
And if you look at this map here, Rich, you have a real good idea of lot coverage. It is going to be lower.
It's, well, no, I think it's higher. I think your lot coverage is probably 60% on that. Because the park, you've got the parking lots, you've got the sidewalks, you've got the buildings.
What's an acceptable percentage of, would you say?
I think it's 35% for RM.
So is that currently existing or is this what they propose?
I think that's existing.
These are all existing.
Yeah,
These are all
that's
existing.
already-
The buildings, but the lot coverage, the parking as well?
Yes, I don't see anything
These are
here.
existing structures, these aren't site.
RM is right next to it. too.
Yeah, that's just it. Oh,
Between the RM and RT. Residential transitional, like that wouldn't be any better, would it? Or-
That's more restrictive.
Oh, it is, okay.
It's,
I was looking at the description. I couldn't see the difference.
Well, you know, the interesting thing too is you're separate lots.
Yeah, it
So-
doesn't really fit, so I mean, when you look, it says the minimum lot size has to be 40,000 square feet,
Yeah,
and these lots are close.
no, and then you get into lot coverage, so lot 1A is wide open. The coverage should be fine, because there's not even a building there. 3A probably is all right. I don't, we need more information, I guess that's what it comes down to.
Here's the. They're pre-existing structures, but it's really not a pre-existing, non-conforming use because now all of a sudden you're changing the zone. So everything would be subject to a variance that would not be conforming. And the applicant should know that. And I guess from a planning board perspective, if ultimately the town board does say, listen, I think RM's great, they're gonna come back here and they're gonna have to go to the ZBA. And I guess from this board's point of view, would you be generally comfortable with it and the look of it and recommend? I mean, I think-
How is the other property RA though? So they can do what they're doing now in the RA? There's one building that's in RA.
How it's out there.
Like behind it, I don't know, I would be better.
Joe, where would you send this person to get the additional information he needs to come and make a presentation? He needs help.
Surveyor.
Yeah, just like Shannon.
They'd have to talk to a surveyor or an architect and get the information.
His problem is that he bought the 4 buildings and they're not as busy as they used to be. All very busy and now they're all not very busy. So I think that the change in use is terrific. It's a natural, it's a great change in use. I agree with you totally there. The question is now, how do you navigate through the zoning regulations and all the steps? I think this fellow is way out of his depth.
The problem is we can only go so far in making recommendations. We don't want to give them the legal guidance as to how to do it, what to do it.
Basically,
We really should be here tonight hearing these comments, he or she.
It's just that we don't have enough information to come back.
We can come up with our own list of things and not right now, because I think it would be burdensome, but in between now and the next meeting, and this board still can recommend. It's just gonna have a whole lot of caveats that the town board would consider and that the applicant would hear. And then the town board they can change the zone all they want. He needs to know when he comes back, it's gonna be subject to some significant site plan and zoning issues.
So if I understand it, you're recommending that we make a decision on the zone change with conditions?
Huh.
Or have them.
Yes, it's a recommendation. We
Right.
don't make the conditions, but it would be here's things we're concerned about. And we want the applicant to know, and we would recommend it's a good zone change, but everybody should know all these things.
we have questions, that's the key thing.
Yeah, I'm confused by the whole thing because you got lot 4B. That looks like they own the driveway that comes in off of 92, but yet it says ingress and egress easement on lot 4B in that roadway. There are ingress and egress easements that go to the other buildings. So, I mean, I know we're not doing site plans, but it's just,
Well,
there's a bunch of
it's
questions.
relevant. it's relevant. It's not just a piece of vacant land that we're gonna take and someone's gonna build and build according to what's there.
So, and if you look at the note that's on the plan, ingress and egress for lots 2B, 3A, and 3B will be from Route 92. Well, what about lot 3B? Obviously, they all come off at 92.
Yeah, right.
Well, there would be significant site plan work that would need to be done. We would have to look at all those easements, obviously. All the parking and the shared or whatever, it's all gonna be out there. Even though everyone thinks it's a good zone change and it's just that it does have some challenges to it, and it's not as simple as just changing a piece of property that only had one building. So my recommendation is that if he's not going to come in, then we have to either figure this out on our own, or we say to the board, we're just not going to recommend because he's not here and there's too many problems. I would recommend an adjournment.
Yeah, the other reluctance. Yeah,
I kept,
it's part of his language. His English is minimal. He's obviously a very bright guy, but his ability to converse with this subject in our language is limited because.
He could come in with the surveyor.
Yeah. Have Anna-
Yeah, I was gonna say, someone that can help verify for him.
well, because it's not a road attorney, that he has already.
He knows.
I'm not sure how he got the idea. Someone told him this was a good idea. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
you know,
The idea was driven by the economics.
Right, but someone
Rent
said-
rate has practically disappeared.
Right.
There's a way to rejuvenate the rent stream.
but someone said this is the right zone. But you don't just make it up, you know, if
Yeah.
you're not a person who's familiar.
I think it is right, so that
Yeah.
makes sense. CA, you can do what's in R1, but that's single family homes. This obviously is not
Right.
single family homes.
Well,
There are a lot of
seems-
things to look at, right? If they talk
There are.
about front yards,
Right.
front yards, 35% lot coverage.
Right.
So you got
Access.
road frontage, 150 feet. Road frontage.
That's really,
I mean, it's not to say that it's not something.
I do not believe the town board is pressuring for a recommendation. And we can, at this point, say, we need more information to recommend, but I'm sure they'll find it within that.
Like on 5 with variances.
what was the question?
What about like an R5 zoning with variances? Because then you take R5, you would maybe take away some of that.
I don't think you do offices.
That's right.
I don't think you can have dentist office in R5.
The offices of recognized.
Still do commercial.
There, it sounds like the first floor is gonna be offices.
Yeah.
Right, and then the second floor is
Gonna be
gonna be
the
residential.
residential.
Yeah, yeah.
So that would sort of fit. But I don't know.
I guess if for my comment, I would say the concept we believe makes sense.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of unanswered questions before we make the recommendation that need to be answered. That would be. I think it's pretty much what you said, Arnie, a while ago.
We need to get a hold of him then, and let him know that he needs to come in and bring somebody with him, most likely. Some questions. And if they wanted to contact us, I'd be happy to contact them. What it is or what it's all.
Yeah, that would help.
The architect, and he told me he had a chance. So I asked him if he wanted us to push him to the next agenda, and he kept saying no. Yes, two times.
Maybe you didn't understand.
The architect?
Oh, the
The
architect.
architect, yeah. Yeah, no, I haven't talked to this guy, I've only talked to the architect.
And that is,
James Middle.
Well, we can only do so much, but let's Let's set it aside and adjourn it until the next meeting. And come up with some recommendations relative to issues that need to be covered. And then if they don't show again, we have to make a decision as to whether we're going to recommend it or not recommend it to the town board.
It would be unfortunate if they didn't come, because if they answer the questions, like I said, it's a good concept.
So we're going to reschedule this for the next scheduled meeting on the 25th. The next item on our agenda is an application by Twin Shores Property. This is their initial presentation to tell us what it is they're trying to do and why and what's up. This is property known as the Fietta Properties on North Burdick Street. And this is multiple tax map numbers. Mr. Serio, can you tell us a little bit about this project?
So thank you for indulging us. I know that technically, I guess this is an application and maybe it's not from the beginning of an application. But good evening, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. Nice to see everyone again in person. My name is Tom Serio. We're here tonight to provide an overview of the Twin Lakes project. As part of our application, everyone received a packet. These do not contain and are not construction drawings by any means. They're used as a reference for this initial meeting to discuss our direction of the project. This particular subject property, we have it under contract. It consists of 128 acres, of which 45 to 50 are going to be developed, leaving about 70 acres that could be used as for conservation uses. Your knows that this board made a referral to the town board for zone change. Thank you for that. And to recap, the zone request that was granted by the town board was RA, RM, R1, and NS, 2 RA and CA. Which now makes this subject property, Twin Lakes, consistent with its surrounding properties, which host many amenities. All within walking distance, certainly town center, many shops, restaurants, grocery, there's a medical center, car shops, the YMCA, and what we will add. What we're talking about is approximately 300 housing units sprinkled in and around the dark green area. So if everyone has their map, the dark green area on the top left. So this dark green area right there. In commercial space will include a coffee shop, fast food, and entertainment facility in this light green area down here on the bottom right of what we're looking at. All, of course, with appropriate signage. Further, as you can see on the property, there's 3 access points to the property. An existing one that needs some modification. The second one is to the south across from Carrabba's. And the third one is also an existing north, labeled right now as a secondary access. One major point that I want to make sure that everyone's aware of is that I think it's worth mentioning. We're not seeking public money for this project. We're not seeking a pilot. No money taken away from school districts. I just wanted to note that so that everyone's aware of it. One unique component of this project is that it will connect everything together. We have had several discussions with the Canal Corp, New York State Parks, the town of Manlius, the village of Fayetteville, and connectivity is key and is very easily accomplished. With this design, we will connect the existing trails that are available to the current town hall, village, walkways at the east portion of the property, canal trails, Limestone Creek corridor, shopping, medical, health centers, food and grocery, all by way of nature trails and sidewalk paths with crosswalks. Along Burdick Street, we are proposing to provide sidewalks from the very north end of the property to the south end of the property to make sure that we have that connectivity. And we've preliminarily talked to the village of Fayetteville, who has agreed to take control and maintain the sidewalks on the North Portage Street. Because I think they do it anyway, what we just did on Mott Road. So as you may know, we received a favorable report from Onondaga County Planning Board, and we have in addition addressed their comments by presenting and having continued discussions with WEP, DEC, what's case? Army Corps of Engineers, and Onondaga County DOT. All discussing capacity issues, connections to existing trunks, traffic recommendations, as well as wastewater services and stormwater impacts. Attached in your packet is a SWIP, a stormwater pollution prevention plan, a draft of that, part of which includes the south pond right here. So wastewater services, future development will be sensitive to existing regional wastewater easements and infrastructure on the site. Potential floodplain, floodway, stormwater, and wetland issues have been and will continue to be addressed as part of the site plan submitted for future meetings to this board. Traffic, as indicated, preliminary traffic study results revealed no significant impacts. A more detailed traffic study will be completed and presented again at future meetings for submission to this board. Subdivision is proceeding as agreed to and as planned. We also have coordination with state parks, Erie Canal System, town property, and the village of Fayetteville. We have been in extensive contact with these agencies and will continue to pursue coordination with them as further development plans evolve. So we have here tonight our principals, Mr. John Charters and Mr. Dave Newman, as well as the current owner that we have under contract, Mr. Fietta. If there's any specific detailed questions, I have TDK, our principal engineer, Joe Durant, and my ACE legal team, Dave Burkle, for any legal questions. Again, thank you for indulging us in this, I guess, unofficial first meeting, and we hope to see you again. We're thinking at your August 11th meeting that we will have a more detailed plan for everybody to review.
If I could ask a question. I guess I wasn't aware that there's.
Oh, August 22nd, sorry, you're right. August 11th is probably the deadline for the August 22nd meeting, yes.
Okay.
August 22nd.
There are 6, 7, 8 tax parcels existing now.
Yes,
And when you said subdivision, I'm assuming you mean 3 parcels when you're done.
probably, it depends on the evolution of what is proposed, so somewhere between 3 to 5, yes.
Okay.
Yep. Certainly less than what's there, I think, right now.
What type of homes would you put in there?
So they're going to be rentals, but there'll be units. For example, I don't know how many units will be there, but it won't be a monstrosity. And I don't want to pick on like Brighton Towers. It's the only one I can think of. It's not going to be anything like that. There'll be a maximum of a 3-story building. I think the maximum one that we're looking at right now is maybe 10 units in one building, 4 units in another building, 6 in another, and sprinkled around that area around the lake. Certainly to keep with the nice landscape that's there.
Would that be similar to Starview? Is that the one that's above the medical center?
Yeah.
Is it similar to that concept of multi-family?
I'm not sure because I haven't
Oh,
seen that, but
I think that they're talking about apartments.
Yeah, these are.
Oh,
single-
And those are townhomes.
Oh, all right. Those are the ones that are going around.
Yeah.
Well, it's okay.
That's fine. This, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the map that was approved on the CA. Is this entire part in the CA?
which
This entertainment, this light
the
green?
light green part.
Yep.
No, I think it, on this particular map, I think part of the line goes over the part that's in CA.
So that's a problem.
Well, and this, again, these are not construction plans,
Right.
these are not proposals. These are just what we wanted to preliminary present to this board to just see if we're going in the right direction. Certainly, if this is going over that line, then that line's gonna come back. into the boundary of where the zoning is.
Right, and is that going to then affect the parking? And, you know, like so your things that are in RA, in the CA, they gotta stay in the CA.
Yep.
You can't spill over. So that's the first thing that jumped out at me when I looked at these plans, and I get it, we're here for discussion, but
Sure, yeah.
that's a major discussion item. The RA, like, you're planning on having apartment buildings?
Yes.
Planning on having multifamily units that are similar to, although I don't mean this from a design standpoint, to what has historically been approved under the, I believe subsection 6, allowing for similar uses like what was done across the street.
I wasn't around in those days, so I'll have to get educated on that.
What do you see across the street?
You mean that,
There's multifamily housing unit in RA zone across the street.
Medical Center Drive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right, right.
It's classified as a-
It's
Yeah.
Behind it, the development behind it.
Well, that's on top of the condos.
Yeah.
Like single family, two family under our.
Where would the town own?
Good question. So
Yeah, that
we,
was my question.
yeah, so there is no agreement that exists today for a town hall. There have been many discussions and they are still continuing, but there is no agreement yet. So it could be certainly anywhere on there. But there is no agreement as of today.
And if I could just add, we did have a meeting with John Deere, the supervisor, and a couple others regarding the purchasing of, and I think that's where they are right now. Preliminary, looking at
Yes.
bonding and things like that. So
Yeah.
it's not exactly off the table, but
Correct.
there is still being worked on.
Yeah, and I think for the most part, there's been positive feedback from the town board, from most of the members to pursue that.
One of my comments is that the furthest north entrance, I don't like that.
Yeah.
So I'll just throw that out.
Yeah, and again, you know, we'll defer certainly to this board, but first, I guess foremost, we'll bring to this board the comments of the traffic study and see what they say.
Yeah, one thing that I think is positive, I wasn't going to disagree with me, is that we have the traffic light.
Yeah.
That controls from coming out of four.
Yeah.
Trying to go left out of there is terrible.
Yeah,
And that will control the traffic between the two lights as well as north side here, the north section, I think.
yeah, the additional traffic light's definitely gonna
Yeah,
help
I mean, and I think,
right off the bat.
and I know that Mayor Olson had said, when we were talking about this 7 or 8 years ago, the county already agreed to do that.
Yeah.
So that's in it.
Absolutely, yes.
Tom, you talk about just apartments, these are all rental units,
Yes,
1, 2, or 3 bedroom.
yes, sir.
What range per month are you thinking about?
That we don't know, because we are not going to be the contract builders to you.
I'm very concerned, I'm gonna look at this, about these apartments in RA. I
Yeah.
really don't think that this is what's permitted in RA. So. That's a concern.
What was the code section you were referring to?
Yeah, I believe it's 155.
So section 6, right? So if it's,
155-12.
I think it doesn't reference similar use.
I don't see that here, similar.
155-9, sub 6.
155-9.
Which which is R3, which is allowable, those are allowable uses under our.
With a special permit.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. The following uses, right? Homes, hospitals, homes for the elderly, adults, convalescent homes, nursing homes, and similar facilities. As well as cemeteries, landing fields, and greenhouses. That's what I'm reading.
What's it say for R3?
That is R3,
Oh, that's R3. Yeah.
right? Single and two family, and with special permit. Hospitals, hospices, homes for elderly adults, convalescent homes, nursing homes, and similar facilities.
Similar facility.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean,
To that.
and our simple, our solution, the alternative is to go back for a zone change. which-
Well, that's right, so that, how that would, I mean, if that's what you're, whatever you're thinking, if there's gonna be some other zone change request, that's gonna need to be considered because.
We don't want to do that.
We're kind of too premature right now.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
got an
That we're trying to figure it out.
incomplete
Yeah.
application,
Yes.
so we're gonna need a lot more information. We're gonna want to see your traffic control study, we want to see SWIFT, we want to see the design plans, geotext. So we've got a long way to go.
Sorry.
That August date sounds good, if you're able to do all that. The idea of building in this area, we considered this 3 years ago. An application had been presented.
Great.
I think it was like.
Yeah.
Was it that long ago? Time flies when you're having fun. But they submitted absolutely everything all at once, and the plans were very good. This is good land usage, and this, we like to see something done with this. We like to see that they had a proper use. So you're on the right path, but we can't tell you more than that.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely, understood. It's a good introduction, at least, so we get a chance to see possibilities, you know.
Well, how do we flush out the apartments with the language of similar?
They're not gonna, I do not believe that's what is intended by that code section at all. I think it's similar to the nursing home, convalescent homes. That's what we talked about in similar facilities.
What's the zoning on the apartment building across the street? Lifestyle resort, is that R5?
It's this, it's considered homes for the elderly adults. Homes for elderly adults, like you and me.
Okay.
So that, I mean, that's a thing, because in your SWIP and everything affects the other.
Sure.
That's the challenge of this site. And everybody wants it developed, and there's been zone changes, but then you do have an issue with what's here, right? If your zone line is like here on the CA, you might have to go back to the drawing board. This board doesn't decide on zone changes,
Right,
only recommends. So maybe that is what needs to be done to build this goal.
I
Because
think
without a split of the whole thing, you might end up being stuck. And remember, seeker's not going to allow segmentation. So
Well, as far as that goes, I mean, aren't they always a draft? I mean, how can you?
Well, it's gotta evolve as you go forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what was right now, the secret, right?
And we're not asking for determination, right?
Because everything
Yeah.
just filled out,
Right.
TED and Joe and I talked about.
Exactly.
He's done some ancillary work to get to where he is.
Sure.
You can't really go much further until it's starting with GS,
Right.
right? You know, where your buildings want to be. Dependent upon your geotech slopes and all that. Other stuff that we- so, But I think Joseph. You know, you guys have the national goal. That was good.
It was.
I mean, I
And we do
think,
want to.
yeah, and we have a need for affordable housing in town, and this would be a good spot for it. It's close to everything, and you're proposing sidewalks and everything.
When you say affordable housing, talk about.
Well, that or, yes, additional apartments as far as affordable, Housing.
Developer, what they want.
I know, that's what concerns me, but I mean, being on the canal and everything, I mean, too, you could, I'm thinking what we just had proposed. You know, something like where it's multi-level, there might be small businesses on the first floor. So, but it all sounds like it might need a different, it might, so change.
I would concur with what Joe said earlier, that, you know, I think you're going in the right direction. It's nice to have a little bit of commercial, residential. What that zone would be, I don't know. That's gonna have to be determined. There's a lot of engineering that needs to be done, but I would say, at least as far as I'm concerned, it's something that I would like to see continue.
Anything else? Anyone, anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you. Good. Dave, good seeing you guys. Unfortunately, folks, I don't have any additions or add-ons.
Oh, that's too bad.
No.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
A second.
Motion